Welcome back, Puppet Fabricators. We have finished the basics on the front plane for this, the front image. And although I didn't do too many details on the fingers yet, I did go and add some landmarks of regular human anatomy. Now, this particular design, we're going to simplify it. We're going to make it more like a Wallace and Gromit or Aardman or Gumby type of character. So you can kind of see, I have the landmarks for, the bony landmarks and the major muscle groups, the rib cage, the pectoral muscles, the diagonal angles at the elbows, the knees, down here on the shin. Made sure I did the feet flat on the floor, facing forward, palms forward. Registration marks are clear. I'm using my blue, I'm using my red to explore. And we're going to do like a final ink. We're going to do it in like really solid line once we've decided on the shapes. So we're getting there. Next phase though is to do the side view. So the side view is uh, something that most people make the character imbalanced. So we're going to talk a little bit about some common mistakes. So in preparation for this, let me blow the light table off. I went ahead and got some tracing paper and I drew my registration marks. So remember I have two on the top left, top right, two on the bottom left, bottom right, and of course on the vertical key line, the floor. Also, we measured out the head height. So over here is head height. So this is more of a kind of a gnome or kind of a smaller person's proportion. So you see the head heights over here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just a tiny bit over 5 head heights tall. And the average human head heights is about 7.5 to 8 or 7 to 8, depending on who you ask. And so I went ahead, got some blank tracing paper, and I put the tape across the front this way. I laid it down nice and flat, gave it a little bit of room to flex on the ends, and that way when I fold it, when I bring it back over, I laid it down, and then took some time to get a ruler and use my liner and really draw some solid lines. And I went ahead and put in the floor and the vertical key line, all the registration marks with the circle. And for that, I even went ahead and got my little circle template out just to make life quicker and easier. So the more accurate your registration marks, the less likely this is to shift around on you. And I did an extra one over here too. So although this thicker paper is it's in inches, the smaller squares in between the inches is actually divided by 10. So it's almost like a metric inch combo paper. I don't know. I just didn't realize that when I ordered it online. So, but whatever, I kind of use it up. And so yeah, so let's get the front view done. So the head height's over here. So we can kind of look at that. One of the first things to do. So and I do have my oval one over here. So an oval or circle, whatever. We just want to make sure we know, okay, these are actual head heights that we're dealing with. So I'm going to do that over here. I'm just going to make sure that I have my little, oh, looks like I was off on my head heights when I drew these. Oh boy. Yeah, I thought I was off. Okay, one, two. See, it's really easy to make a mistake, so that's why it's important to have all these marks around. So yeah, my head heights lines are not accurate. I get to do them like over again. So he's a little bit less than 5 head heights, just barely. There we go. So it's probably that metric graph paper that goofed me up a bit. So yeah, so have your head heights clear, and I just used like the oval marquee tool in Photoshop. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's exactly 5 head heights. Wow. And I think I moved that around. I moved it from the chin. So yeah, I made some adjustments on there. That's what happened. So I made some adjustments on my head height. So my lines got off a little, which means I just have to go back over to this side view here and make sure that I have redrawn my head heights because you want to make sure your benchmarks are accurate. There we go. So I'm just taking the liner, and I was even getting some other colors involved here. So I got like my little red Tombow, that, There's another one. Do the black liner first. So we're looking for a little bit of cleanliness, a little bit more organization. And that way, when we're making careful measurements and cutting, using the jeweler's saw, cutting brass stock, cutting your aluminum wire, you have a really nice diagram to work from. So there we go. So that kind of makes these lines off a little bit, which isn't the end of the world. So I'll just go back over these and make sure, watch your buckling, kind of double checks with these registration marks. So I just kind of do a soft press my fingers across, do a soft drag over here, and I'm just really careful not to get off because this tracing paper doesn't have any graph um, graph lines on it, right? So, which is it's kind of nice, and you want to have some pages that are just a tracing paper where it's super light, really easy to see through. It makes life a lot easier. Sure, right on the line there. Get off a little bit. You need to sometimes you can drag it back a second time. And one more. And for the horizontal and vertical key line, like your symmetry line down the middle, you really want those bold. The floor and the vertical key line, that goes right through the middle of the spine. This one right here. So let's go ahead and get some different colors here, maybe blue. So hopefully everyone's got some kind of, colored Sharpies, colored pencils, colored Copics or Tombos. Like brush those things off, get them out and use them. This is excellent way to, because you're going to put the clothes on there. Some of you might add feathers and fur and who knows what, cyborgs, metal wood, glass. And it's nice to grab a color real quick and say, oh, okay, this is where the cogs fit for my cyborg, or this is where the scales transition from more mammalian flesh to more scaly flesh, right? So being able to designate that with these colors really helps a lot. So there we go. You see I kind of did that already on my graph paper, so you could really see the floor down there. And then I got my head heights over to the side. So let's do that again. So I got my little oval here. And if I'm overlapping, sometimes we'll do different color for the overlapping pages. You can kind of experiment. You just want clarity. Don't want to second guess yourself. I'm so glad I caught myself there. I'm glad that I actually made that boo-boo on camera. That really helps as a teaching moment, right? Like, oh man, I really messed that up. So there we go. So I'm going to use the purple pencil over the top of these, and so that way when they overlap, they're going to register together even better. And use your dark gray graphite color too whenever suits you. Looks like that wasn't quite perfect. Just off a hair though, so it's okay. And the sun. There we go. And then when I'm done, I can just give this a light on. So you use your head heights to make little benchmark measurements. So you can know, okay, here's my one head height. You say, what is the length between the groin and the knee? And in this one, happens to just be exactly one head height. Oop, not quite, a little bit more than one head height. Same thing here. You can go from the bottom of the knee to the foot. I'm looking at that. That is 1 3/4. And my head heights are 1 3/4. So there we go. There's one that's one head height. That's actually 1 and looking at the size, 1 5/8, excuse me. So it's a little bit less than 1 head height. So the upper leg is a little bit longer than lower leg, which is usually true for shorter people. So if your the end limb is usually a little bit longer for taller people in the upper limb, with slight proportional difference. Some people who are super tall also have shorter limbs and uber long torsos. There's all kinds of these little subtle proportional changes make huge differences in appearances because they all kind of add up for each other. Okay, so let's look at the our new side view page by itself. So that's what you should have at this stage. You should have head heights drawn out very clearly. You should have your heads benched on the side. You should have your registration marks. You should have your floor and your vertical key line. Okay, so let's finish this off. Looks like I needed to add that red line up at the top still. Next thing we're going to do before we actually draw the side view is going to, here we go. We're going to do some landmarking for key parts of the body. It's usually the eyes, nose, mouth, the nipple, the navel, the groin, the knees, and that way we don't second guess ourselves too much when we're drawing those out. So go back over to this side here. And I'm going to get my liner again. Now I might want to just do this as a different color if I can round something up. Okay, so we're going to add the landmark line. So I'm going to go right here to the bottom of the nose. Just get right at the tip. Bottom of the nostrils to the side of the bottom of the bell or the front tip of the nose. Yeah, I just got a red pen for this one. So as long as your lines are really clear. So there we go, there's one. I'm going to go to the corners of the mouth right here. And make sure that my ruler is nice and straight. There we go. And then for the eyeballs, I'm going to do the top of the eyeball. You can see if this, even with the blues and reds, it's kind of hard to see in the greens. But if this was all black, it's going to be a mess. Just trying to see what's going on in there. And you see, I brought the line back and forth a few times. There you go. Um, and whatever else you need. So I might go to the Widow's Peak here, do that one, draw the line first, go in and in there. Gonna go to the nape of the neck or the little bottom line here, or the clavicle. So maybe exactly where the clavicle bones are. They're pretty straight from the front view, very level, parallel to the ground. And so the clavicles are incredibly important. Also go here to the nipple. So I'll just draw those in real quick, just like we do in figure drawing. There we go. And to the belly button, right there, the navel. Okay, and to the bottom of the crotch, the very bottom of the torso. Okay, one more for the bottom of the knees. Again, taking my time here for a minute and making sure my ruler is straight. Looks like my ruler might have been off a tiny bit, or is it off of the other line I did? Yeah, it's off a little bit. Okay. My hand shook just at the last second, so it's better to have a little thicker line that's straight than a crooked line that's thinner. So if you need to extend the line, you can kind of double check your work on that. We also can do key lines for the arm. So come to the side over here. and do the elbow and the wrist. So maybe I'll come back to that a little bit later. Let's get these ones done first. And this just came in the mail, so I thought it'd be fun to show you the little mini flask holder for the alchemist's lab, the apothecary lab. Stop motion size, right? Isn't that cool? Mm. Even came with a little scale. The miniature laboratory is underway. Okay, so now I gotta find those lines. So really careful to keep the registration marks. I'm checking all my registration marks. And if you have a light table, if you have one laying here, don't forget to use it. Sometimes it's better just to leave it off, but there we go. We can see a little bit better now. And yeah, see it shifts very easily, right? So you're kind of, I kind of take where I have my tape out and I kind of press there and just bring down and then hold flat, and that usually works pretty well. Okay, so let's do the Widow's Peak. Let's see, as I want brighter or dimmer. Hope it shows up better on camera. Okay, maybe medium. Yeah. It's a cheap one. It's a cool interface. So there we go. So the top of the eyeballs. Bottom of the nose. And corners of the mouth. Again, double check them really nice and straight. There we go. And sometimes these pens, you gotta hold them a certain way to get the ink come out smoothly or evenly. So this is gonna be incredibly helpful when we're gonna bang out the side view in just a moment. Go to the chest or the nipple. Is the pinch mark. To the belly button, navel, middle of the abdomen. I guess if I roll my pen a little, it's happening better. The gel pens work nice. If you have gel pens laying around, those are pretty helpful too. This one's right above the actual head heights, darker lines, so I have to be careful to distinguish so I don't it doesn't get lost and considered to just be, it'll get muddy and lose its effectiveness if we get too sloppy with that. There we go. Down here we go. That is the bottom of the knee, which I said earlier. That's the one I was off a tiny bit, so just barely. There we go. All right, that should be good. Take a look. Yeah, maybe that less. So now we're ready to draw out our side view for this character. So bring this back up, upright, portrait, and let's get our colored pencils again. All right, as you do this, be sure and review your anatomy, so that way you're getting the basics of the skull. Down there's my top of the eye socket. There's the nose. You can come out here. Give him and do kind of a gnomish character nose. Upper lip to the crux, so it usually comes out this way and then back a little, forward a little. And even before, as I'm doing that, I gave him a little bit of a bulbous chin. But the ear hole's usually right about halfway between the nose and the eye, so you could add the ear ear hole there, the jaw, and back to the skull. There we go. And there's a forward neck lean, so as I'm doing this, um, make sure there's a little bit of a forward neck lean there, not too crazy. And down maybe, and then back the throat. There's the clavicle, so we'll do the rib cage is one I also mentioned you could do a bony protrusion for the rib cage, so I'll go a little faster here. There's the trapezius, there's the deltoids right there. Leave the arm blank, I just draw like a circle right there, the pectoral muscle, and then the clavicle, sternocleidomastoid come down right there. There's the clavicle. You can see how nicely these registration lines help. Then you have, let's say there's like a beam, there's this way for the chest, and then just pull this out so you can see a little clearer. And then it goes this way for the pelvis. So in the bony protrusion for the pelvis, I could see where my bone's at right there. So this way, there, and then this way, right? So angle down, then the spine curls between them, connects between them. There's the S curve of the spine. There's the gluteus medius, gluteus maximus, goes way down the back of the thigh. We didn't do the back view. Now, when you do the legs, be really careful. Try not to make your character's legs, don't make them falling backward and don't make them falling forward. They have to be balanced. So if I know this is the knee, the thighs are going to come, okay, so going to be a forward a curve of the thigh this way. This is another S that goes back this way for the calf. It's really easy to remember, but almost everyone messes it up when they first do this. So then the quad comes back here. So it's like a little hourglass, and then put the knee there. And then we'll do the triangle of the foot. So we can bring this in a little bit, do a little rectangle, I'm sorry, triangle for the foot, not like that. And it's looking pretty good. Let's double check it with the drawing beneath. So I'll throw the light table on. Let's see. Yeah, so the knee, the thigh came up a little higher, so it should be maybe there. Maybe I curved that out too much. I can bring it down, but I'm using that key line. I'm keeping it centered. The gluteus maximus, maybe I gave him a little bit too big of a butt. Just go down here. It does go down past the crotch quite a bit though, so I can kind of mitigate that. And if I'm getting, as I get a little sloppy here, I can kind of get my big eraser. I'm still using the wax pencils if I can, so it kind of makes life a lot easier. There we go. And then also have my old electric eraser I've had forever. These things are great. It's a good investment. Lasts you a long time. I don't know how many years I've had that thing. There we go. So now I can continue that. And then look at where the knee is. There we go. Look at where the calf comes up. The knee's lower down here, and then the calf comes up higher. I forgot to mention that. So I actually had it pinch. Try not to make the front of the knee and the back of the calf pinch at the same. The back of the calf goes up higher, up here, and the bottom of the knee's here. So there's a diagonal, just like there's a diagonal at the arms, right? There we go. So that's looking better. So I kind of, as I was going, I messed that up. And there's like a little slight, the knee comes in, then there's a slight muscle forward at the on the shin, and then it curls out, and you can kind of do up for the toe. You can curve back in here at the heel. There's the Achilles. Okay, let's turn the light on again. There we go. Yeah, little guy. And when I'm done, I'll take the tape off and I can set these side by side and I can work on them in tandem together. To the top of the foot down here, so kind of looking at the heel a little bit more. So this is where maybe I can get my blue pencil out Double check. There's the bottom of the knee. It was right there. So keep going. Make it a little bit more prominent. It's here and then up. Yeah, maybe up here even. Got locked on my page up. Good to struggle on camera. But yeah, there's the thigh. It goes way up here in the corner where the quads come up here and attach to the front of your pelvic bone. So you want to maybe capture a little bit of that front pelvic bone. There we go. That's a little better. And then curl the back, the latimus muscles. Maybe get my blue pencil as well. Maybe leave the light on, the dimmer a little lighter. There goes the back. Back to the skull, comes up. One more here. I'm defining those in. And there's my brows right there's the eyebrow. Go. Front lip. Gnome. And the chin actually went down on my head eye, so just go ahead and give it that extra bony structure. So there's usually a couple curves that happen there. And then there's the ear. The hairline's right there. Could jot the hairline in. That was this little pink line that I drew on the top. There, and here's the widow's peak right there. So that's kind of nice to see. The hairlines are really important to get right. And then you can kind of decide to put that in there. The brow as well. But measurements, if you're doing portraiture, if you want to do a likeness, this is also like really fundamental stuff. Get the nostrils back here. Nostril, the nose. There we go. And turn that off for a minute. You can look at it by itself. I think now I'm going to go quicker. I'm just going to fill this stuff in. Sternocleidos, trapezius, spot opening for the arm. There's the sternum. There's the pectoral muscles. And making sure I got the nipple right. Yep. So it's got kind of a smaller torso chest for this character. We'll be right up there. And then the rib cage there. And I'm going to double check as needed where that rib cage ends. Rib cage ends here, a little lower. I didn't really maybe, and then you're making adjustments. That's why I didn't ink this yet. That's what the pencils are for. That's why professional animators often use the blue, red, light, fast colored pencils, which we'll talk about more during class. As the latimus muscle, and then here, lumbar, lower back, other side of the pelvic girdle here, and gluteus maximus, hamstring, back, and again the calf. And the back goes up higher. Heel, hook in the heel, hook in the front of the toe. And remember, there's like a little triangle, the foot that goes there, and this goes up. There's a slight arc going forward. That front muscle in front of the shin. And there. The crotch down here, if you want to, you can kind of add in where the crotch line is. So you don't forget abdominal muscles there. All right, and it's blue. Back in if I didn't. Again, this is kind of more my technique. I don't see a lot of people professionally posting like using the blue and red to get that purple out when you need it. Now we're going to use a different color for the hair, and we'll do one more page for the puppet wire. Okay, and I got this new tracing paper, the cheapest stuff I could find on Amazon. It's so thin, it's actually more like a tissue paper. So maybe getting the absolute cheapest thing isn't always the best idea. But yeah, now I have this like uber thin tissue paper that maybe I can use for something else. I'll pull it up. See if I can paint it. Yeah, I'll figure something out. Paranorman had a whole scene of ghosts where they had animated some tissue paper. It was so okay. So that's this is going to be the piece we use for the armature wire. So let's draw that in real quick. Okay, so if you get some really like weak tack or low release paper, that can help. I just tried and grabbed what I had laying around the studio. So this is blue painter's tape. It tends to be a little thicker in terms of the tape body, but it actually has a really light adhesion. Like it sticks well, but it comes off well without tearing stuff. So I'm just kind of cutting up a few little strips of that, and that way when I lay this down on top here, and remember I'm doing this on the front view, right? So you see your puppet. The second simple puppet, we're going to do all the same. We're going to use the um, bipedal humanoid front view for this one. All right, so different colors for the wire. So we could do the doll. So we could get out a doll piece, or we could just kind of eyeball it. Okay, so we got the doll spine on there. So I just want to give us enough space here at the base of the crotch. So you want to have enough room to kind of draw in the brass fitting. And the brass fitting, let's see, maybe use the pencil. The brass fitting, you don't want to go too close to the outside edge. You want to have enough space for it to have a curve down, right? Curve down. And then down straight into through the center of the knee down to the center of the ankle there. So, okay. And so this should sit right on top of the base of that. It should sit right on top. And then the torso, the neck, you want to stop just before the actual neck. So we could do this one or this one. And this will kind of be an experiment to see how your heads and necks turn out. So although everyone's character is going to be a little more similar, there's still going to be a giant variety of little Gumby Aardman Studio style heads you come up with. So we'll do that right there, yeah. Up there. I'll just turn that off for a moment. And let's see if it's stopping up there. It's going to go down, 2, 4, and 5. There we go. So each of these is going to be, so I think what's easiest is just to kind of draw the circle at the top that we know is going to be there first. And then you could do the bell down like that. And you see I'm getting a little sloppier here. I'll crunch for time, but let's see how this turns out. And one more. All right. And so you guys can see a little bit better, I'm going to grab my different colored markers over here. So let's see what we got. We got green, blue, and purple. And we got red still. Okay, there we go. Okay, so making sure that I measure from the sides here. I'll go ahead and turn the light on again. And I'm sure this tissue paper is going to bleed right through. So I'm for this one, I'm actually using wet erase markers, which funny enough work really well for this. So let's see if that bleeds through. Yeah, they tend not to bleed, surprisingly. And then down to the ground, right? And so again, should be curving, curve. And this little guy's got fairly narrow hips. And then down at the bottom, you can arrange like a little prong like that. That's how it's going to hold the wing nut in for the feet. This one, the brass stock fitting, and then these are just kind of placeholders to get a good approximation. As long as the top and the bottom is good, then the design should be pretty clear. There, so we know it's going to stop right here. Huh? Yeah, so it's not even through too much. Yeah, it's a tiny bit. Not bad considering how cheap the paper is. And I think I might have messed up that top one. Did I do it right? Oh, I'm missing this one. Yeah, no, that's the top one right there. Okay. So without taking it apart, I think I might have goofed. Let's just heading for it. And yeah, if I bleeds through, it's going to go a little bit. Okay, not too bad. Okay, and then we're going to pick two of these where the spine's going to adhere. Right, so I'll use my light blue or this darker blue one. So, yeah, it's pretty dark blue. Let's get the baby blue, great blue. And getting my way through this. Oh yeah, I had the brown color for the actual brass stock. Huh? Yeah, there we go. Let's use that. That's pretty clear. So we want to adhere this one. If I did this right, and that one stops right about there. So I want to adhere these two together. So right here. So these two get stuck together with one piece of brass stock at the um, torso, right? Because our rib cage doesn't bend or flex, at least barely, not much. Then you want to, in order to leave flexibility happening for the clavicle and scapula, you want this to come up and do a nice curve over at the clavicle line. It's that red line that's still there. And then down right down the center, we can end it at the wrist. So we'll go up and over. And looking at my measurements, should be pretty clear at this point. And then at the end, we could do another spatula inside the palm of the hand. You can always adjust that later. And then up here, we're going to do one more. We're going to drill a hole into the top of that upper doll spine. And that way, we could put a little piece of brass stock in there. And then out of the brass stock, we're going to have another piece of brass stock coming out and up into the skull, whether it's a foam ball or styrofoam. And then from there, we're going to have like a little, we call it the light bulb of the head armature, like that. Okay, so I'll do a couple different pieces here. So we're going to do one piece, two pieces of brass stock that are matched with a notch at the bottom. We like punch it with a little hole punch. When we pop that little hole punch, that means the smaller one that goes in here, this inserted one, will stop at the bottom where the hole punch is. Same thing, we do a little hole notch here and here, and the smaller one goes in like that. This larger piece goes down into the head spine, has a notch in there. And then the smaller one comes up and it goes up into the skull. That. So it's actually a few different pieces there. I wish I hadn't used such a dark one on there, but I can always go back over that one and overlap it later. Um, okay, so the next step is we're going to ink these pencil marks, and this should give you a nice, clean, step-by-step pattern to follow. All right, we'll see you in the next video.